Hello, and welcome to another episode of Dear Dr. Charryse, a mental health podcast that centers around life through the lens of neuroscience, integrative health, and mindset so that you can learn, grow, and honor the space you were designed to occupy. We have recently been talking about the dynamic of self-neglect, or sometimes it could even be self-abandonment. It's a really tough topic, I think, for a lot of people because we don't like to consider that things come into our lives, and as a result of wanting to prioritize everything other than who we are, we can get lost in the process. Have you ever found yourself in a season where you felt like, I don't even know that I know who I am anymore? This is what I thought I wanted to do. This is how I thought I wanted to spend my time. Nothing seems to make sense. Or you just feel like you are constantly like a rat on a wheel and can't ever get ahead. Those are the moments that can beat us down in ways that are not ideal. But today, I want us to focus on what do you do when you feel like, okay, I've spent enough time looking back. I've spent enough time processing how I got here, all the elements involved, and now I want to move forward. What does that look like? What are some actual tools and skills that I can use? Well, let's get into them. Let's talk 4 practical strategies for moving forward. First, I want you to consider what I call the self-forgiveness formula. It is both cognitive, finish your thought, Charryse, and somatic. Cognitive meaning it's going to get to that mental aspect where there is a level of understanding and reframing, but somatic meaning it is going to address the body. Let me just say this for a moment. One of the things that I consistently see as an issue and a challenge when people are working to move forward is they spend so much time focused on their thinking and their thought process that they neglect. There's a lot of what you've been through and what you've carried and what you've experienced and where you have guilt and shame and frustration that is held in the soma, in the body, in the nervous system. So these are the moments that you may sit down and you may do traditional therapy and you feel frustrated. You feel like I have an understanding of all of these pieces of my life, but I need somebody to tell me, what do I do with the way it makes me feel? How do I navigate the days where I'm mopey and down and heavy and don't want to get up or be around other people because I can't handle anything else? That's where you want to bridge the two, cognitive plus somatic. So the self-forgiveness formula. First, acknowledge. You want to acknowledge the cost of your choices without shame. And it doesn't mean that we are not placing ownership in other areas, but you can't hold anyone else responsible for their change. So this is about what you can do. You're able to go, all right, I didn't take care of myself. I let myself go in multiple ways that I'm ashamed of. I acknowledge it with compassion. The second part of the self-forgiveness formula is accept. Accept that who you were back then did the best they could do. Please do not look back at how you showed up during one of the most difficult seasons of your life and then in this present season, continue to beat yourself up. So we don't want to take the past into the present and carry it into the future. You did the best you could. You were in survival mode, but you have to accept that in that moment, the choices that you made were the best and not beat yourself up. Third, act on behalf of your current values, not your past version. So that brings me to kind of the first point of interaction and work for you. What are your current values? Do you have values that are now shaping the way that you want to show up every day? Non-value-based living will feel chaotic. If you wake up every day and you actually have no idea how you want to navigate that day, ways that you can support yourself, ways that you want to spend your time that are life-giving to you, you are not going to feel well very long. So for some of you, the first thing that's going to be important is for you to go, what do I value then? And then I want you to use this mental script as a part of the whole self-forgiveness formula. Back then, I coped. Now I choose. I want you to wake up every day and remind yourself, I have choice. Here are things that I can choose for myself. I'm choosing not to talk to myself the way that I used to. I'm choosing to forgive myself. I'm choosing not to allow toxic people to continue to be in my life. I'm choosing to put in boundaries. The list can go on and on. And those boundaries and the pieces that you choose are going to suit you best when they align with what you value. One of the best things that we can do when we look back and consider, here's where my needs were unmet by others, unmet by myself, is then to renegotiate and reestablish what are the things that I didn't value enough in that season that I want to make sure that I hold to now and don't let go at all costs. Second practical tool, I want you to shift the language of your self-talk. So replace things like I should have known better with I'm glad I know better now, or now I realize. So you're setting in place future self-talk that shows you're not looking back, you're not holding yourself to a past version of who you are. The other aspect of shifting the language of self-talk is incorporating compassion-focused affirmations. This is shown in studies to reduce cortisol, which is that stress hormone, and increase your self-directed motivation in every area of your life. When we can have compassion-focused affirmations, it is one of the most powerful ways to move the brain and the body forward. When you say those affirmations and speak to yourself well aloud, the body hears. Just like when someone says something to you that's manipulative or passive aggressive, or they're gaslighting you, you feel that in your body. Your body's fighting you off. You feel this weird sense in your chest or your shoulders or your neck, and it doesn't make you feel well. But the same thing goes for when you decide to stand in the mirror and you go, I'm going to say some great things to myself. Those are the moments that the body is taking all of that in. What you're saying audibly reverberates through the brain, moves through the midbrain, gets you unstuck and becomes powerful. Look up anyone that you value that you've watched really transform and work through a significant season of their life. I've never met anyone, never studied or researched anyone that did not include a shift in how they spoke to themselves and recognized how important it was to affirm not just who they are now, but who they want it to be in the future. Third practical tool is repair in micro moments. We would love to have the process of repairing or getting over a hard season be this magical flip of the switch that happens overnight. It's not going to work that way. It often is going to take a little bit longer. Well, let's be honest, a lot longer sometimes than we would like. But it doesn't matter how long it takes. All that matters is that you are continuing to work towards moving forward. And when we put that dynamic of micro moments in there, I really feel like that's going to help take the pressure off of what you expect in yourself. Let's think about it this way. The brain builds self-trust through consistent, embodied action. That means if you keep one daily promise, when you fuel your body with care, when you set a boundary and don't explain why, those are all micro moments that will help you move forward. And each action becomes like a neurological vote for a new identity, because that's what you're building. That's what you have the right to build. You're the only person truly that can keep yourself caught in a past version of yourself. You get to wake up every single day and decide, this is me. This is the new identity that I'm walking into. And even if I don't like who I was yesterday or a few hours ago, at every point in the day, there's an opportunity for you to shift through intentional actions and communication with yourself. The fourth practical tool is what we call somatic anchoring. So this means incorporating daily grounding practices. Way too many of us wake up in the beginning of the day and we just hit the ground running. We either hit the ground running with nothing, we open our phone, we start engaging in all these things coming at us and we're aimless, or we wake up with a to-do list and we just start taking care of everything that everyone needs. Somatic grounding means that you have intentional moments throughout the day where you're doing things like daily breathing, using the 4-7-8. Inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. If that's too long, you can also start with 4-5-6. So don't get caught up in the length of time, but the breath is your present moment reminder that you're alive, that it absolutely could be worse, and it signals the nervous system to come down if it feels heightened. Another kind of somatic anchoring practice that I love is taking one hand, placing it kind of right in between your clavicle, right on your heart. Specifically, if we can get the palm of your hand to touch your skin, that creates oxytocin. That's a love hormone. It's kind of like if you've ever seen a mother and a child have skin to skin. We're doing the same thing with ourselves. If you've ever been told to place one hand over the other, and fellas, please don't knock it till you try it. I know that sometimes when I get into breath work or placing that hand on your heart and pressing down, some genders or just some individuals who are not comfortable with touch will shy away from that. But it's your hand. You decide where it goes. You decide how much pressure that you need. But doing it with eyes open or closed does something amazing and enriching to the vagus nerve, which helps bring you down into a calming place. You can do this hand over heart and name statements like, I am safe now. I am who I think I am. I am greater than I give myself credit. You decide what you say, write it down ahead of time, but repeating that practice with yourself is extremely helpful. There's another one called progressive muscle tension or release. This helps release specifically stored shame-based stress in the body. You choose different body parts. Typically, will people start with their hands, tighten it as much as you can, and then release. And you kind of go through that same process within your forearms and your upper arms and your shoulders and hold it all, tighten it, and then release. And doing that, there's a lot of videos that you could also find probably on YouTube that will walk you through the right way to do that. Here's kind of a final thought for you to reflect on. Many of us are walking around with silent shame, not from what was done to us, but what we feel we allowed or we ignored in ourselves. Please don't take on any more shame than you have to. It's important for you to go, like I said earlier, I did the best I could with the knowledge that I have. You're not behind, right? You're just in recovery right now, and recovery requires repair, not perfection. No amount of punishing your past self will give you the future that you want, but every small act of self-respect today will. I'm going to end with this quote by Maya Angelou, one of my favorite of all time. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. And that is my hope for you. Today, I want you to choose a new anchor, not guilt, not shame, but growth. I want you to send a message, multiple messages all day to your nervous system that you matter to you, and not just through theory, but through choice. Keep one promise to yourself. Breathe before you break yourself and rest without earning it. And then tomorrow, put it on repeat, because healing is less about what you fix and more about what you stop abandoning. And more than anything, I want you to stop abandoning yourself. As always, I'm so glad that you chose to come, to listen, to hear, to really let this message sink in. Come back to it in moments that you notice I'm not really doing a great job being compassionate to myself. I am blaming myself. I'm frustrated with all the ways that I feel like I needed to show up for myself and didn't. It doesn't matter. Stop looking back. Continue to stay connected with me on various platforms. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. Check out the show notes for all of the latest. And remember that knowledge is not power without application. So by all means, please show up in your own life. I'll see you soon.